discuss the memo for geography. I'm going for geography, which is term 4, question paper for term 4. And remember, in our term 4, we shall have the 35 will be section A, which is term 3. And then the 40 will be section B, which is term 4. All right, so let's see the first question here. The first question is always a low order question, which is match the terms with the correct descriptions. Write the correct letter in the column provided. For example, for example, 1.7 equals to G. All right, let's look at the term here for our the first question. We have 1.1, the land uses zones. So meaning you get this 1.1, which is the term, you need to give us a description, the perfect description for the term, land zones 1.1. So 1.1, our answer is land zones. It's an area where land is used for a particular purpose, for example, residential zones. So our point 1.1, our answer is our answer for point 1.1 is E. So a land zone is an area. So our 1.1 is E. All right. And then let's go to 1.2, which is infrastructure. Our answer for 1.2, we look for the suitable answer, which is C, infrastructure, the basic facilities and equipments that are necessary for a system or an organization to function, for example, roads and bridges. And then 1.3, who are clients? Clients are people who pay for the goods and services provided. That is D. Then 1.4, informal settlements. 1.4 is A. Small informal dwellings that are made out of corrugated iron and wood. It's A. Then 1.5, what are aerial photographs? 1.5, what are aerial photographs? This is a picture, aerial photographs. Small informal dwellings that are made out of oh, sorry. Yes, it is A. Then what are aerial? Aerial photographs is 1.5. Aerial photographs, it's F. So aerial photographs are photos that are taken from elevated positions. And then what are townships? Townships, it's B. Townships are places set aside in urban areas for Black people during the time of apartheid. And then migration, the movement of people from one place to another. That is our H. And then we have our 1.8, which is aerial photographs, is G. Yes, it's G. Then satellite images. It's J, which is a picture of land based on informal supplied from a satellite position above in space. And then shantytown goes to I, settlements made of shacks, right? So we have our question 2, you define a settlement. A settlement is a place where people live. A place where people live is a settlement. For example, we have types of settlements. Some people live in cities, others towns, others rural areas, others on town cities. We have town cities, farms, and then we also have others Yeah, we have towns and cities, those are urban areas, then also then farms and villages, those are rural areas. Then we have the land in a settlement can be used for different purposes. What do they use land for in rural areas? Primary activities, people farm. They use it for farming, they use it for mining. Apart from that, land can also be used for forestry. Those are primary activities, forestry. And also land can be used for farming. All right. So now we have studied the figure below about rapid growth of cities and towns in urban South Africa to answer the followings that follow. Right. Describe the term, or you can tell us the concept, which is urbanization. Urbanization is the movement of people from rural areas to towns. So it's the movement of people. When people move, people from rural. When people move from rural areas like villages and farms, from movement of people from rural to towns. When people move from rural areas going to towns, it's called what? Urbanization. Yes. Right. So, we have the next question. Which is our next question is what is rural depopulation? When you talk about rural depopulation, is the decline in number of people living in rural areas. Decline in number of people living in rural areas. That is depopulation. Then when you talk about urban growth, it's the rapid growth of cities and towns in urban areas. Rapid growth of cities and towns in rural areas. That is called urban growth. Then we have reasons that push people to move from rural areas. People have no work in rural areas. There can be wars and political problems. There can be poverty. There can be no food. There can be droughts. Yes, there can be droughts and there can be floods. Flooding can cause people to move from rural areas. So we have in a paragraph of 6 to 8 lines, discuss problems or challenges caused by rapid growth of towns and cities. All right. So when there is rapid growth of towns, then there is rapid growth of towns and cities, it leads to increase in number of people who need the land, housing, water, electricity, healthcare, and schools. So it leads to increase in number of people, The people increase in number, it leads to increase in number of people. People who need land, housing, comma, water, comma, electricity, comma, healthcare, 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 and schooling. Right. Okay, let's talk about that is section 8 out of 35 marks. Let's talk about section B. All right. So in section B, it is also you match the words to the meaning. For example, 1.6 equals to J. Let's look at exports. What are exports? All right. So definitely exports are, we give it to E, to ship goods out of the country. Yeah, to ship goods out of the country is E. What are bulky cargoes? Bulky cargoes goes for F. Ships that transport large metal containers. Then we have imports. Let's look for the answer for imports. Imports, to ship goods in a country, you are importing goods that are bought. Yeah. And then the railway link, it goes to C, a link connecting to two important places by rail. Then we have commuters. Commuters, these are people who travel from homes to work daily. That is commuters, CA. Then we have modes of transport. It's J, the way in which things are transported. It's J. Then public transport, various public transport goes to I, which is transport used by public. And then harbor, what are harbors? Okay, when you talk about harbors, it goes to H. These are physical structures where ships dock and load or offload cargoes. It's H. Then what is transport network? It's G. Transport network, it's G. And then container ships, it's D. And that is totals up to 10 marks. Now we have what are the 3 factors that affect transportation? Factors that you consider when you're going to take a mode of transport. First and foremost, you consider accessibility. Accessibility. How accessible the transport is. You consider affordability. You consider affordability. You also consider availability. How available the transport is. Right, then we go to 5.2. Which sector determines how transport networks are built? We have that sector is called trade and industry. This sector determines how transport networks are built. Then list and explain the factors that influence South Africa's transport network. 1, we have the population distribution. Population distribution. Remember, here they asked you to list. When you say population distribution, you are listing, and then you tell us how this factor influences South Africa's network. For example, transport networks are denser where there is high population density. Yeah, population distribution. So you say high population distribution, you say transport networks. You say transport, I explain it by saying, that transport networks are denser where there is a high Population. Yes. Transport networks, you say transport networks. Transport networks are denser where there is transport networks are denser where there is a high population. That is one factor that influences South Africa's transport network. Then the other factor is physical factors. Some areas are too mountainous for rail. Then you can talk about physical factors. So some areas are too mountainous. Some areas are too mountainous for rails. Some areas are too mountainous for rails or major roads. Or major roads. Then you can talk about let's see, identify one advantage and one disadvantage of rail and road transport. Advantages of rail transport is rails can transport many goods in one trip. Yes, you talk about can transport many goods in one trip. Yes, meaning rails can transport many goods in one trip. A train can carry large bulky cargoes such as coal, iron ore more easily and cheaper than roads. All right. A train can carry large bulky cargoes such as coal and iron ore in one, or more easily and cheaper, more easily and cheaper than roads. A disadvantage to that is trains cannot travel up steep slopes. Trains cannot travel up steep slopes. And also they cannot go to many different places on one journey. They cannot go to many different places in one journey. All right, let's look at road transports. All right, advantages of road transports. Advantages of using road transports is that roads link places directly. So roads, tracks can go straight to users. So roads link places directly. They link places directly. So roads, they link places. Roads link places directly. So road tracks can go straight to users. So road tracks can go straight to users. And then the disadvantage is you can talk about traffic. Okay, let me give you the advantage. Road transport is cheaper and quicker over short distance. Cheaper and quicker over short distances. Okay, over short distances. Then the disadvantage of using road transport over rail, you talk about traffic congestion. Traffic congestion. Talk about traffic congestion. You talk about exhaust fumes. You talk about trucks can carry. You talk about there are more road accidents than rail. Road accidents than rail. You can also talk about trucks cannot carry as many goods as trains. Yes, trucks cannot carry as many goods as trains. Okay, then let's go to number 6. What is a mini bus driver known as? What are mini bus drivers known as? Yes, these are known mini taxi drivers are well known for their disregard for the road users. They are well known for their disregard for the road rules, meaning they are known for not obeying to the road rules and for dangerously overloading their vehicles and for dangerously overloading their vehicles. Right, what are mainly owners of mini taxi drivers? Okay, so these mini bus taxis are mostly owned by individuals. They are mostly owned by individuals. Do you think it is a male-dominated industry? Why? Yes, only 2% on minibus drivers are women. On minibus drivers are women. How are bicycles good for the planet? Right. When you talk about bicycle, no mode of transport that is more efficient and practical than the bicycle for most of the trips. Bicycle use zero fossil fuels and also the human energy. You can talk about the human energy used to propel bicycles is renewable and largely non-polluting. Yeah, the human energy used to propel bicycles is renewable. Okay, then give 4 reasons why bicycles are the best modes of transport. Yes, one, bicycles can be ridden by people of nearly all ages. Can be ridden by people of nearly all ages. Okay, bicycles provide humans with low impact exercise. They provide humans with low impact exercise, health, and fitness. Okay, another reason is bicycles ride quietly. They ride quietly. Bicycles ride quietly, which limits noise pollution. Which limits noise pollution. Another reason is bicycles encourage human interaction. They encourage human interaction. They encourage human interaction, communication, and connectivity. Right, so let's move on to question 7, which is talking about write a paragraph and identify any transport issues in South Africa that aggravate transport problems and suggest what can be done to sufficient attention to give it. What can be done to sufficient attention to give it. So the following rubric will be used in assessment of this project. All right. So here, when you talk about the problems that when you talk about the transport issues in Africa that aggravate transport problems, here in this question we can any marker can accept any relevant answer. Yes, so here you just tell us some of the transport issues in South Africa that aggravate transport